So in today's video, I just really want to talk about why is Ark just such a good game in my opinion. I really like all that the game stands for, and there is a lot going for it in terms of why Ark Survival Evolved was such a successful game and still is to this day. I also just want to talk about why I love the game, but let's first start with why is just the game so good. Firstly, it is a survival game unlike any other. You're not really going to find any game really that is going to compete with Ark in terms of what it offers as a survival game, where you've got all of these dinosaurs and expansive maps and a truly great storyline. While Rust is another great example of a survival game, and so is The Forest, they are very different styles of games to Ark, and Ark offers very different gameplay concepts and, in my opinion, just offers a better concept with all of these creatures roaming around that you can tame. And while you can tame some other Ark creatures in things like, I can't remember what it is, but there's a sort of Amazon style game that the Sausage Party have been playing a lot, Green Hell, there we go. That game, you can tame quite a few creatures as well, and I do like that game for that, but it doesn't compare to what you can tame in Ark. It really is a game about taming to some extent. You're going to go out and get all of these creatures, and they really do help you along the way. Not to mention that Ark, being the sort of grind that it is absolutely addictive, and getting significant progress in the game is just such a nice, heartwarming thing that, you know, when you achieve it, you really just feel so elated with yourself. It is one of those where if you truly succeed, you're going to feel great, and then obviously you're going to have all those moments where you're really not succeeding at all. Maybe your base has been raided, or you've just died and lost everything and you can't get any of your stuff back. Those moments really are the worst, but you always come back to the game, and that's sort of like, it's sort of the disease, you could say, of Ark in a way, that it's like so addictive that no matter really what happens, you'll come back to it unless you force yourself. It's almost like, you know, that Lord of the Rings scene stuff, just with Bilbo and the ring, and Gollum and the ring and all of that stuff, and him just being like, I just want the ring back. It's Ark is the ring from Lord of the Rings, am I right? You know, it truly does have that sort of vibe to it. It's a little bit scary in a way, you could say, because like, why does a game like this have so much power over me? I would never be able to say, but there we go. Wildcard did make a very nice game, and ASA has continued that. While the performance issues are still very evident, some people have said there aren't any performance issues for them. Great for you. If you don't have any performance issues with the game, then don't assume that other people don't have performance issues with the game as well. I don't, running on a 3090 with the frame generation mod. I can run this game perfectly fine at 1440p, pretty much like high settings, medium-ish really. I'm running out and get over 60 FPS all the time. I cap it to 60 actually, because I have a 60Hz monitor and I don't really need more than 60 FPS in this game, and I don't really want to have a hurricane in my room in terms of computer fans. Yeah, but some people running on significantly worse setups or on like the Xbox Series S have been having quite a bad time in terms of performance. So don't just take your own experiences into account, because I don't need any more comments saying, well, ASA runs like an absolute dream. It doesn't, okay? For a lot of people, it just simply isn't what they can run, because with the cost of living crisis and all of that stuff going on, people are struggling to get some money through, unless you've got a lot of money going for a computer, which I managed to shelve together because of this channel, and that is something which I'm really grateful for. But previously I was running on a significantly worse setup when I started out this channel. It wasn't terrible, it was 2060 Super and a Ryzen 5 2600, but now I've upgraded to a 3090 and a 3800X. There's been significant gains coming from this channel and the money it's made, which is really nice, but not everyone has that much to spend on a computer, so I just want to put that out there. Right, so now what do I like about Ark so much that I just want to talk about why it is such a good game. We've discussed some of the reasons. It is extremely addictive, and that grind is something which is really fun, but I also like the diversity that this game offers. You really can get quite a lot done when it comes to Ark Survival Evolved, from PvP to PvE to SOTF when it was around, rest in peace, and Bob's Tall Tale stuff recently. There's a lot of variety for all kinds of players out there. People who want a more primitive experience can go with Primitive Plus, and the steps that you can do to basically get the game back to what it was all the way in 2015. I really need to try that at some point. I just haven't been bothered to go through all the effort and the hassle, and then also I need to get it back afterwards because I do want the current version of the game, but it would be nice to explore that again. Maybe I'll make a video on that at some point, Ark as it was in 2015, because that would be quite fun really. But Primitive Plus is another great solution for all people wanting a more primitive experience. Ark 2 is going to completely shape up everything, because it's not really going to be like Ark 1 at all, like the gameplay style and all of that. It's seemingly going to be quite different, maybe akin to Horizon Zero Dawn in a way, but not quite. It's looking Horizon Zero Dawn like, from my opinion, or I should say Forbidden West, like you can choose whichever one is really your preference. Forbidden West is on UE5, so I guess we'll go with that one. It's another great game actually. If you've never checked it out before, I definitely would check it out if you haven't already, because it's a truly remarkable one. And if you've got the specs that can run it still, it's an easier game to run than Ark Survival Ascended, by the way. You should have a very fun time with it. It truly is an enjoyable game, and it's got some great story to it. I'm not going to spoil everything, no spoilers in this video. But also, another reason why I really like Ark Survival Evolved as a game is all the memories that I've made along the way with friends and just myself in general, and things that have just been so happy and joyful in my life in a way. Like, there's just a lot of fun experiences that have happened in Ark Survival Evolved for me, and I'm thoroughly one to enjoy all of it, and I really do relish every moment that I get in Ark Survival Evolved and Ascended whenever I hop onto that, which tends to be rarely. I'm sorry, Survival Ascended, but I'm not really going to go over to you until all your content's there, because not thankfully, wrong word, I'm just preferring some of the Gen 1, Gen 2 stuff at the moment, and ASA simply can't offer me that, and that's totally fine. It will get there eventually, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, this game really is one where you can make a lot of memories, especially if you've got friends around. I don't really play with friends in Ark anymore. That was more like a year, 2 years ago, and going back further than that. But in the past year, I can say I really haven't played a lot of Ark with other people apart from myself. It's given me a sort of new perspective of the game in a sense, but it was how I started playing it back here all those years ago when the game kind of like came out and all of that. I was playing it by myself then until my friends got it, and then at some point I even bought an Xbox and started playing some stuff as well, and with my friends, like Battlefield 1 and all of that. That's another great game as well. Again, if you haven't checked that one out, really do. But yeah, a lot of memories have been made on this game. A lot of great things have come from Ark Survival Evolved. I truly love it as a survival game. No other survival game really offers anything like it. And if you love dinosaurs and you love survival games, Ark Survival Evolved is the game for you. So, since Ark Survival Ascended came out, there's been a lot of debate on what game is actually better. Is Ark Survival Evolved the original where all the content is the better version of the game, or is ASA better with the better graphics and new and improved game design to some aspects? Well, in today's reasonably short video, I'm going to be going through what I think of Ark Survival Evolved and Ark Survival Ascended, and just the general pros and cons that I think I have for both of them. So let's just start with the OG, Ark Survival Evolved. This game released in 2015, and it's been around with us now for almost 10 years. Obviously it'll be next year, so at this point 9 years of Ark Survival Evolved. This is where most of your Ark memories are going to lie, at least if you've been playing the game for quite a while. And although still to this day it is loaded with bugs, and especially at release there were a lot of bugs, Ark Survival Ascended does fall under the same problem. Ark Survival Evolved has the inferior graphics, obviously being on UE4 as opposed to UE5, but we'll get on to the specifics of UE5 a little bit later on in the video. And obviously it lacks all of the creatures which have been added later on in the expansion of Ark Survival Ascended. But ASE has the advantage of all of the maps, while ASA only has really the island and scorched earth under its belt at the moment, with AB hopefully coming soon, whereas Survival Evolved has all of that built up. Now, to talk about mods with these games as well, obviously Survival Ascended has paid mods as well as free mods, but it has better integration of them as console users can use them, although I do prefer a lot of the mods that you'll find on Ark Survival Evolved, as it's just had time to build up with all those mods, although a lot of the popular ones have been easily transferred over with some equivalents. Sometimes the name has changed slightly. I think Creature Finder Deluxe isn't called Creature Finder Deluxe anymore, but there is definitely an ASA equivalent because I use said mod. Awesome Spyglass is just the same thing again, and S Plus and all that stuff is over on ASA, and you can use that, and console players can use it too, which is a truly great thing to come from the game, because Ark Survival Evolved really does lack in that aspect. It only allows mods for those PC players, because I'm not actually sure the complete reason behind it. Is it a hardware limitation, or is it simply just they didn't want the console players to have that just for general reasons, because they thought maybe it would do something? I'm really not knowledgeable in reasons why mods aren't there on consoles. I guess people maybe want a more authentic experience, and it's not seemingly is good, then the game devs can't really control how the game progresses. But a lot of people have been saying the modding community is usually far ahead of where the devs actually are, and this is sort of a sad truth. I know it doesn't relate to what game is better, but it sort of is a hint to why Survival Evolved could be, as it has a lot of mods going for it, and there have been loads of mods produced for the game. But you could also use the counter argument for Survival Ascended, that since it's in such a state, according to many, in terms of myself, I would say it's not in as big of a state as it used to be, but there still is a lot of work to be done. All of these modders and these just mods that are coming out to Ark Survival Ascended are really helping the game, as they are just simply way ahead of everything. Wildcard, I don't get why you don't just chuck all those bugs out there for the community to fix, because I guarantee they're going to be fixing it faster than you are, because there's a lot more of us out here than you. And I know there was that sort of program where you could win prize money for fixing these bugs, but I'm pretty sure that has been taken down to some extent, so there's less incentive for people to fix this game. Again, Ark Survival Evolved is it's a really great game. It's just in its execution, it is always let down in some way in terms of performance and general optimization. These games, both of them, are littered with bugs and performance issues. People also said on one of the last videos I did that ASA runs better than Ark Survival Evolved, sorry. And I don't really get what you mean by this. If it means in raw FPS values, you are completely wrong, because Ark Survival Evolved has obviously come out 9 years before. It is far easier to run. If you're talking about bugs as well, the game still even has more bugs than Survival Evolved in my opinion, and lots of those bugs were ironed out actually reasonably early on in the stages of Survival Evolved. I know it's still got a lot of them too, but I don't really think we've seen all of that fully uncover with Survival Ascended, and sadly that hole may open up one day and we just see an even worse side of Survival Ascended, depending on the snail games and the Trino business practices. Obviously you lose out completely on official servers on Survival Evolved, at least ones actually run by Wildcard or whatever server hosting company was using them. But ASA doesn't really have it any better with terribly run Nitrado servers. While there are some janky methods to running your own servers, it really isn't the best practice, and it doesn't offer the best results. So servers on ASA have been quite a bit of an issue, especially with Nitrado's whole controversial skew of things going on, and obviously their signing of a contract with Snail Games, and it seems Snail Games isn't making as much money as they maybe thought they were going to get, because although we're sort of hamsters to the Ark Survival Evolved game, at least I am, not all of us are very convinced by ASA's new features. Yes, it includes new dinos and all of that, and it adds to the maps, it's added some gameplay features, but to some, paying that much for it really isn't what they wanted, especially considering they've already bought first game. They simply don't have the hardware to run a game like that, which is still an issue with loads of UE5 games. I'm not just putting that on Ark Survival Ascended, but it is the way games tend to go to a lot of extent. Just all the new ones are going to be a lot harder to run, but Survival Ascended is definitely an unoptimized game. There is no way of really seeing around that, in my opinion. It just is an unoptimized game. Survival Evolved is too, but I would say significantly less so, considering it's just had a lot more time for some of those bugs, some of the really awful ones to be ironed out. I know there's still a few there, but that is Ark at the end of the day. So bringing this video to a conclusion, what do I actually think is a better game, Ark Survival Evolved or Ark Survival Ascended? And I've made countless videos on why is Ark so good and just general practices on ASA and like, is ASA bad or is Ark bad and whatnot. I am saying that Survival Evolved takes the cake for the better Ark game. It is where I have made all of the memories. It runs a lot better than Survival Ascended. More people generally just have access to it. It is dirt cheap nowadays. It's got all the content on it. I think it's got a better variety of mods as it's just had more time for that, and obviously in terms of just bugs and all of that, there are less of them. Sadly, both do not have SATF, but that is just going to be a thing which I guess we're going to have to leave in the past.